I think that's a really good point. So let's go make that. Well, hey everybody, welcome to No Law Firm Left Behind. I'm Jim Gass with Splicenight Consulting. I'm joined today by my good friends over here.
I got this is Vinny from Splicenight. How you doing?
Hey Vinny, and our good friend Mike. Mike, can you hear us?
Hey, Mike Brown, and everybody should know a Vinny if you need anything done, right? I'm glad to know
That's
Vinny.
the Vinny to know right there. That is the Vinny to know.
100%. Yep.
Well, listen,
Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing well. I
Good.
Just here to hang out and chat a little bit about something that's important.
Vinny, we haven't had you on for a while, so we're excited to have you on. And Mike, I'm glad you can make it back for your pre-quarter 2 update, right? I think that this is a fantastic opportunity for people to really hear every quarter what you've got to say. So everyone, just know, No Law Firm Left Behind, we will have the master, Mike Brown, on every quarter without fail. We'll have him on pre-quarter is what we do. The idea of having you on pre-quarter, Mike, is because, well, you don't want to start doing something in the quarter. I mean, if you have to, but why not get prepared for the next quarter in advance of it? And so that's perfect opportunity, right, Mike?
Yeah, it's kind of like like your New Year's resolution. If your resolution is to get fit and lose weight, you don't start January the 1st. October, November, start working out so you hit the ground running, right?
You got it. No time better than the present. Yeah, no time better than the present. Yeah. Well, listen, Mike, let's talk about this. We started talking about your banner, right? And it's a nice segue into the topic today. So, you're not really super comfortable not having your banner behind you. Tell us why.
Well, I'm a banner guy, Jim. You know that.
We know that.
One of the things, this is, we're going into Q2 of 2022, and we're in what I would call the post-pandemic world, and there's a lot of people doing virtual conferences. There's a lot of law firms that are doing virtual hearings. They're doing virtual conferences with clients, and I am a big fan of branding, and I love having the idea of a Zoom room or a banner behind you. Like I usually have a banner that has, FindLaw, SuperLawyers, Thomson, Reuters, who I am and who I'm with. I'd rather have that than, some random family pictures where everybody's, sitting there looking at figuring out who's in the picture, instead of paying attention to you. So, like for instance, I know, Jim, that you've not read all those books behind you, and I'm sitting there wondering what those titles are. No, so having a banner behind you, I think really helps keep people's focus on you. But if their focus wanders to what's behind you, they're going to see your brand and your law firm. So I think it's consistency. It's kind of like how, companies have uniforms, it reinforces the brand on the employee that's either come to your house or whatever. So branding is a big deal. But again, Jim, the topic today, about Q2 2022 as far as an update. I really am passionate about making sure that law firms understand the post-pandemic 2022 consumer. And I hope they all listen and are ready for the way people are hiring lawyers. How are they finding them and how are they hiring them? At Reuters, we're working with a purpose and a mission. And my mission is to make sure that the good law firms of the past continue to be great firms in the future. But the good law firms of the past are the kind of firms that, they do a great job for their clients. They hand the ball to the ref and they go back to the sideline. They don't ask for reviews and they don't, they're not showing their, big verdicts on their websites. They just do their job. But I have to tell you that those firms today have to do more to reach their client and connect with their client online because they're not coming into their office, right? So that's the discussion today is post-pandemic, are you ready for the new consumer? So I don't want to, belabor that point, but it is a fact that people are getting together less than they used to. We are emerging out of our cocoons a little bit, right? The mask mandate's been lifted and the gathering has begun. I've gone to recently, the last few weeks, I've gone to 3 great events. And it's great to get back in person again. But again, the consumer learned over the last 2 years how to do their own searches and feel pretty good about the results they found, right? So my question to the law firms and the attorneys out there is this. If you needed a lawyer, if you had a problem and you needed a lawyer, would you hire you? Would you hire you?
I think that's fantastic.
So if you got 3 names, yeah. If you got 3 names and they said, call these 3 attorneys, talk to these 3, look them up. One of these 3 are the best at what you need. And you looked yourself up. Would you hire you based on what you found?
Yeah,
that's what I was just going to ask you. What's the criteria that you're talking about here?
So, Vinny, you bring up a good point. What is the criteria? And the criteria is different for every single person, right?
Yeah.
I personally, and Jim, if we got the names of lawyers, I would look the lawyer up. And the first thing I would want to see is, who do they know that I know, right? So Jim and I are going to go to LinkedIn because Jim's got like 25,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Well,
yeah. I have 30,000 followers. No, I don't. But there's a very good likelihood, if Jim was the recommendation, one of them, that Jim and I probably have 300 people in common. Now, I would expect that because we're both in the legal profession and we both are from Cincinnati. But if I didn't know Jim and I went to his LinkedIn and I saw 5 people I knew in common, and one of them I actually liked, I would call that person and say, hey, what do you know about Jim Gast? He was recommended for an issue I'm having. And they'd say, you couldn't have found a better person. I don't know how you got his name, but he's terrific. I went to law school with him, and he was the top of the class or whatever. Great guy. He's a great guy and an even better lawyer, right?
Total lie.
That's
Total
good
lie.
enough.
Total lie.
Well, of course it's a fabrication. But the bottom line is that is how the big cases, the best case, if the best case was coming down the road today that you got in the past, would you win it? And that's how they're won, right? They talk about, the best cases you ever get are ones that were referred to you. But there are a lot of firms that don't understand the fact that they're not winning all of their referrals.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you say is what people are going to do first. We've talked about this before. And just so we're clear, this is not novel. This is not anything that doesn't exist in any other industry, right? It's just that, Mike, we know for a fact, I mean, you have so much experience and knowledge in this area. And Vinny and I have been in the industry for so long, hands down, we know that this is the absolute formula to do this. If you're going to get a referral, you're going to go look, or your consumer is going to go look online. Who do you know? What's your message? What's your website, right? I like to think to myself, what's going to capture that attention? You're going to get 3 names, right, from somebody. You need to segregate yourself from the other 2 people in that list of 3. And usually it's, how do you look to other 2 people? How do you look different than the other attorneys? Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. You look different. What makes you stand out? And it's not even how do you look different. It's how do you connect with them? When people hire a lawyer, a lot of times it's not necessarily the best. It's the one that they really connected with on a deeper level than where they went to law school or what kind of area of law they handle. It's a lot of times it's a coin flip. I've got 2 really good lawyers here. Both would make a great choice. But one of them I really connect with on a deeper level. Why? Is it because it's a male versus a female or a female versus a male? Is it because they mentioned in their bio that they love dogs or they love to travel or they like to play golf? there's always something that's going to take me to that place where I make a decision. I really feel like this is the right lawyer for me, because if there's a lot on the line, and let's face it, when you hire a law firm, unless you're adopting a baby or starting a business, it's usually not a good thing, right? So there's usually a lot on the line. Well, I mean, I need to be confident that the person I hire is going to be able to not only do the job, but I'm going to get along with them, and really we're going to be on the same page together. So again, in the old days, they would maybe go visit all three lawyers, but today they're going to look them up, and what are they going to find? So if I look up a lawyer, if for instance, I get an attorney's name and I decide to look up, I don't care, Jeff Meadows, attorney, Westchester, Ohio. What am I going to find? Or if I do a search for, you name it, whoever it is, Brian Redden, attorney, Cincinnati. What am I going to find? And another important point, and Vinny, I'm sure you'll agree with this, is you need to really own your brand. You need to own the whole first page of Google, right? So when I do that search, number one, your website should always be the number one result. I'm going to see your Google business page, and it's critically important that firms claim and own their Google business page with reviews. I mean, reviews are critical today. You've got to ask for reviews. If you don't have any reviews, the philosopher that said, to not decide is to decide. No review is a review, right? Meaning nobody was satisfied enough or moved enough to go back and say thank you. So you need reviews. You need to put pictures of your firm in your Google business page. You need to put some content on your Google business page. Those are all important things.
Your team too. Oh gosh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
These are important signals.
So let me ask you a question, because I can tell you, I work with a lot of attorneys. I deal with them on a daily basis, right? And you do too. Many of them don't even know what Google My Business is, right? Nope. Or even, what they should, how to do this, how much time to spend on this. What do they do? I mean, how do they get to that point from, hey, you need to pay attention. I know I need to pay attention. But how much time should I be investing in this, or should I get somebody to do this for me? What is the next step for them?
Vinny, sometimes it's kind of like the cobbler's shoes, where they never look as good as the client's shoes that they prepare. Attorneys should spend at least an hour a week, in my opinion, or 2 hours a week on the marketing of the firm, on the branding and the marketing of the firm. It's important, right? So you need to do that. Attorneys need to take care of their business as well as taking care of their clients. And let's face it, the only way to take care of your clients is if your business is healthy, right? And the time to dig a well is not when you're thirsty. Unfortunately, there's too many lawyers that look around when the phone stops ringing or their business is, their income is dwindling, and they go, oh my, I need to do something. Something's, and then they start making irrational decisions by answering first email that comes in that says, I can make you number one on Google, right? And then they hire some firm out of California that, doesn't know the business, doesn't know who they are, and just does some, AdWords or something, and it still doesn't convert into good business.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Mike, it really doesn't take much time. It really doesn't take much time. It's a good place to start. I'm glad you bring that up. Google My Business is a great place to start because it's not complicated. It's actually rather easy, and there's lots of resources out there to guide you through that. But I something's better than nothing. But you got to know who you're all about. Last week I had Claire, I think, was on the show last week from Strauss Troy. Great gal, right? Legal Marketing Association of Northern California. Yeah, great group. And she's the chair. She really knows what she's talking about. And look, I've been in marketing for 12 years, 15 years, maybe something like that. And I know where to start, but it's really funny because I'm so past the beginning that I forgot almost, in a sense, and just an initial forgot. She brought up unique selling proposition, which is basically, who are you? Who are you? What are you selling? And who are you selling it to? I think that that's a great place to start.
It is definitely a great place to start, Jim. And really, you need to tell your story. When I work with a client, or when I even talk to lawyers, I ask them, get to know who they are, and you want to get to know their story, right? Why did they become lawyers? What are they passionate about? What's their mission, right? And you need to tell their brand and tell their story the right way, so that it really connects with their audience. So I need to feel the same way about you when I visit you online as I do when I walk into your office. When you walk into an attorney's office, you get an idea of who they are. Like, you might see a buffalo head stuffed on their wall, and some, or you might see pictures of, the famous 18th hole at the Ocean Course in Kiowa. And you go, oh, he or she is a golfer, loves to play golf. Or you might see, like, Vinny's got a guitar in the background that they like to play music. You get a feeling for who they are when you walk in their office. Well, it's amazing how many people you don't really get a feeling for who they are when you visit them online. So you have to bring your offline presence online. It's so important. And again, it's 2022, right? So when I come to your website, do I get that feeling that I'm in the right place, right? You have, 2 seconds, Jim, to make an impression? Especially if I'm coming to you on my phone, right? Do I have a good experience on my phone? Do I feel like, this firm's got it going on? Are they blogging? Does the last blog post say 2018, Happy Thanksgiving? Or is it a current blog post today? So there's always, but these are signals that people use in order to know that you're the right firm. I was looking at a firm the other day that asked me to have a conversation with them. I always look them up first before I talk to them. And the banner had this picture of this gentleman, and nice looking guy in front of this whole, wall of law books, and the scales of justice and everything. And my first comment on that was, if I'm paying a person hourly to do my work, they better not be reaching into books. It's going to be hours to handle my problem, right? I'd rather see them in front of a computer or a white, But the second thing was, I went to the profile of the attorney, and it was literally their law school picture. It was unbelievable. There was 30 years difference between the pictures. And, so that's another important point. Invest in some good updated pictures. You should have fresh pictures of your firm every 2 years, because things change, and people don't want to feel like there's a bait and switch,
these are all nonverbal communication skills is what they are, Mike. If it really comes 100%. Down to it, it's all nonverbal communication skills. I can imagine if they're out trying to date and you're at a social event and you see somebody across the room, you got 2 choices. You can smile and potentially attract that person, or grimace and which one's going to work, right? Just be stoic or smile. You convey a different message depending on your body language, and this is your online electronic language is really what it is that we're trying to convince people to use.
It's how you put yourself out there, and people know if a firm if they care about their brand. If you're having people over, is your house going to be a mess and outdated, or is it going to be at least cleaned up, put together, right? So
I have kids, so it might be a mess.
And you know what? It's okay. My mom didn't care, as much about how the house looked as if the people inside it were happy. But it still was, picked up. But the bottom line, though, Jim, is it is 2022. Now, let's talk about the consumer, Jim, that didn't ask people for names, right? And they just went online and did their own search, right? And let's say I would have gotten, this law firm. If I'd have asked people, they'd have said, John Smith is the lawyer to call. All right. Yeah. Now, if I don't know John Smith, but I do my own search for the best family law attorney or the best, criminal lawyer or the best personal injury lawyer, whoever. If I do that search online, am I going to find John Smith? Right. So John Smith, who's been a great lawyer for years, is a well-kept secret. Now, John Smith needs to invest in his brand, in his Google My Business page, and he also should probably own some directory spots that'll put him where he needs to be, like, SuperLawyers, FindLaw, Justia, Lawyers.com. Those are all legal directories, right? You should be in those because Google brings directories to people. It's a better experience. Now, Jim, if we were come to Cincinnati and somebody said, I want to find the best steakhouse I can find, what would you recommend to them?
Probably Jeff Ruby's.
Okay, thank you. I'm really glad you did that. That was
one of the best.
That was the answer I was looking for. Now, you would say probably Jeff Ruby's. If I didn't call you, but I did my own search, okay, guess what? Jeff Ruby understands that even though he is the best, right, he understands not everybody is going to ask somebody.
That's right.
So when I look up Jeff Ruby's, I'm going to not only find him in the Google AdWords, I'm going to find him in the mapping. I'm also going to click into Yelp or Open Table, and Jeff's going to be at the top. Do you know why? Because he doesn't leave anything to chance.
That's right.
And even if I asked you, Jim, and you said Jeff Ruby, and I thought, oh, well, let me try my own hand to see if it syncs up with what I said. And I do the search, and there's Jeff Ruby. I go, Jim's right. Jeff's the best.
I could almost guarantee you, I've never been to Jeff Ruby's website. Never. But I could guarantee it, there's a beautiful looking steak on the front page right there, because that's what he wants you to think of when you think of his restaurant. That or some really great wine with a steak or something along those lines, right? A great dining experience. And most people think of steaks with Jeff Ruby. So that we could look it up, but I think it's an exercise in futility.
Jim, so I have to go. I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
I know, right?
I gotta go.
I'm gonna have to get a cheap steak for lunch. Right. But if you think of that, that's not an accident, right? That's marketing. We want you to think of the best looking steak that you can think of, and the best tasting steak you can think of, and a great dining experience when you think of our name. So we're going to make our branding the same way. And so, unfortunately, a lot of law firms don't understand. That's not verbal communication. There's a way to tell your story without using any words at all. You could even just use pictures, in the very front, and then fill it in with words, right? That actually accentuate that emotion that you're trying to.
All right. So I feel like we should put a bow on this and give people kind of a to-do list, right? Some homework. Kind of leave this podcast. And I think the important thing is to remember that Rome was not built in a day. So even if you said, I'm so far behind, I mean, I have so much to do, I don't know where to start. Start by making a list. Okay. And do what I've asked you to do. Ask yourself the question, would you hire you? And start with, you need to have a nice website that's up to date, current, and it looks good on mobile. And when you do, have a logo, have a brand, some fresh colors, right? New pictures. Look at your attorney bio. The number one page on your website is your bio. People are going to read your bio because that's the page that tells them who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, and what do you do when you're not practicing law, right? They want to connect with you on that. Okay, so make sure you do a nice job on your bio. Have, as I said, have pictures done. Video is terrific. Blogging. If you're not doing any blog posts right now, start doing some blogging. It's really a great way to demonstrate your knowledge and your expertise. Social media. Pay attention to your social media. Facebook and LinkedIn are the two that you should pay attention to. Build your audience, connect with people. There's so many lawyers that have a LinkedIn profile and they haven't looked at it in a year and they don't connect. They say, oh, I have all these connection requests. And I tell them to treat it like a video game and connect with everybody. You want to make sure that when somebody visits your LinkedIn profile, they see people they know in common with you. So don't be stingy with connecting with people. But so social media is important. And again, how about giving back? I mean, we haven't even talked about that, but people today want to hire a firm. They want to do business with people that have a cause that's bigger than just making money. They want a firm that is involved in the community, right? A lot of law firms tell me that their biggest competitor is not down the street. It's the state next door or up in Columbus, right? We're in Cincinnati. The best way to win their client is to look, feel, and act local. People want to hire somebody locally, right? So, I mean, use Facebook page to demonstrate how you're a part of the community, right? So these are things that matter. And ask for reviews. Please ask for reviews. You've got to do it. You have to make it a part of closing an engagement with a client. Thank you for letting us handle your legal matter. We get recommendations from clients, and reviews help people know we're the right firm to hire.
That's right. Please go to Google or Facebook or wherever and leave me a review. Without a doubt. Absolutely. Mike, I have to tell you, the one thing I think, and all of this is part of it, evaluate other attorneys and see where you're different. If you're saying the same thing, you're saying the same bio, if you're saying the same great communication, full service, that is where you need to differentiate yourself, because you have to be different than your company. You have to do things different than everybody else to succeed. It's really
your secret. It's your secret sauce, right? What is your secret sauce? What makes you unique? Again, what makes Jeff Ruby Steaks so amazing is the secret rub, that dry rub, the aged. They buy their steaks from the same place, right?
You're buying lunch,
but it's the process. I am buying lunch from them. But anyway. Find out, realize what your secret sauce is, what makes you unique, and make sure people understand and feel that when they're looking you up online.
You got it. Well, Mike, I really appreciate this. Let me close us up here. No Law Firm Left Behind is on every Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern. We have a different guest every week. As a matter of fact, next week we have, let's see, I think we've got Dimity Orlett from, she's the executive director from Pro Seniors. Mike, you know Dimity
Absolutely. She used to be the Cincinnati bar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well-known, well-respected executive director of Pro Seniors, doing an incredible service at Pro Seniors. We can't wait to have her on. Coming up in April, we've got the likes of Peggy Grinke. David Lefton is going to be on, Ohio State Bar Association president. Then we got Rob Ziegler, also Northern Kentucky Bar Association president.
David Lefton and I will be speaking at a panel for the ABA Solo Small Firm in April as well. David is a terrific guy, very knowledgeable, and he's another one. He gives back to the community.
Oh, yeah.
He really is a big giver to the legal community. He wants to make everybody better.
Is that, by the way, is that local?
No, it is out of LA. It was supposed to be in person, but it's going to be virtual, unfortunately.
No, that's okay. And then at the end of the month, our favorite guy, Brian Redden's going to be on the show. So
I thought I was your favorite guy.
Whoa. The favorite lawyer, right?
Vinny, help me here.
I think Jim misspoke just now. So
yeah. Is he going to be talking about his favorite Irish whiskeys, or?
You know what? Who knows? We're going to have Brian. I'm kind of curious of his brother's meat shop too. That'll be a very interesting time. But Brian's quite. All these people are just great, so we're real excited. Mike, thanks again. Listen, if you're not a member of No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn, please go search and find the group No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn. We post all of our topics there. You can find all of our past shows as well. Very exclusive group. We just don't let anyone join. So definitely grab that. And if you're looking for our podcast, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, iHeart, Spotify, on and on and on. Just go search No Law Firm Left Behind. So, Mike, appreciate you being on the show. Vinny, great to do the show again with you.
All right,
thank you. I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for everything you're doing.
See everyone next week.
Have a great day.